state of consciousness that's really great in Wall Street and really good for prosecuting wars and really good for politicians. All of this is about the alert problem-solving state of consciousness, which we so much value in our civilization today. And this culture that we have, this global culture, really hates psychedelics. And it demonizes psychedelics, and it demonizes altered states of consciousness, and it makes us live in fear and terror. And it is an unbelievable abuse of human rights, in my opinion, when a government tells me, as an adult, as a responsible adult, what I may or may not experience in the privacy, the inner sanctum of my own consciousness. If I'm not sovereign over my own consciousness, then I'm not sovereign over anything at all. And it's pointless to pretend about the illusion of freedom and democracy if we live in a society that will send us to prison for 30 years for working with DMT. And that can happen. Whereas this same society, which adores and venerates the alert problem-solving state of consciousness, does also at least, adore and venerate some other states of consciousness, like being drunk. That's okay, the world's most boring drug. And reality TV. Consider what reality TV is doing to global consciousness. Consider the messages of produce, consume, envy, jealousy, competition that are being promoted there. These are other states of consciousness that are accepted by our society, but I would argue that they're not particularly valuable ones. I mean, I like a drink myself, but to elevate it into some kind of fantasy item, while at the same time we send people to prison for working with DMT is obviously a serious mistake. And then we come to this, that the point that William James made, that if there be higher powers able to impress us, they may get access to us only through the subliminal door. We should not close off that subliminal door. We should not, as shamans have said to me, we should not allow our society to go further down this road of severing its connection to spirit. We must reconnect to spirit. Otherwise, this whole enterprise that we've created over the last thousands of years is truly going to fall apart. Surely, I mean, the exploration and the expansion of the miracle of our consciousness is the essence of what it's being to be human, and deliberately limiting it to a very narrow band and surrounding it by legislation. Actually, it's not just deeply offensive to our sovereignty as adults, it actually may be a huge error for the future of the human race to do this, because the historical record shows that our encounters with these altered states of consciousness are fundamental to bursts of incredible creativity and advancement in the human story. Why should we shut the door on the next burst of creativity that we desperately need if we're going to get out of the mess that we're in today? And there is a very insistent message in ayahuasca. It's one of those universals. It's about the sacred, magical, enchanted nature of all creation. And many people will bear witness to this, as Dennis did today, that ayahuasca contains a teaching that we must learn again, not to treat the planet as something over which we have dominion, over which we have mastery, but to consider ourselves blessed by the universe to have the opportunity to live in this amazing garden of experience, and that to understand that it is a sacred realm which must be understood as sacred and precious, and which must be venerated and revered. And what we're doing in the Amazon today, again and again, it's intriguing that this jungle vine is now spreading her tentacles all around the world, and she again and again gives people visions of the Amazon and the total horror that descends as we realize what our species is doing to the Amazon. We're allowing this sacred realm, this precious resource of biodiversity, the lungs of our planet, to be devastated and destroyed. And often in an ayahuasca session, you will find yourself in a state of deep sadness and realization of this terrible error that we are making as a species today. So each one of these red dots is a forest fire in the Amazon, and the roads as they're cut through the Amazon the jungle is burnt down around them. And often pressing economic needs are at the heart of this. It isn't just the big corporations that are responsible for this, it's also the poor of the Amazon basin. Countries migrating into the Amazon and seeking to slash and burn and establish farms because they're in desperate economic need, and when people are in desperate economic need, they don't stop to think about what they're doing. But indeed, big corporations are involved as well. You know, what a terrible deal to cut down the Amazon rainforest and plant soybeans to feed cattle so that we can eat hamburgers. What an incredibly bad idea. But there's a whole complex of issues that are behind the destruction of the Amazon. And what interests me is that as a culture, as a society, we have the means to address those issues. The first and foremost thing would be to meet the pressing economic needs of the people of the countries surrounding the Amazon basin. To recognize that we have an irreplaceable global resource here, which is not only irreplaceable in economic and survival terms, but is irreplaceable in sacred terms as well, a sacred realm. And that therefore it's our responsibility as a global community to meet the needs of the people of that region, so that they don't need to slash and burn and create farms. And it astonishes me that we are capable of raising just countless billions and trillions of dollars for war. We can do that at the drop of a hat. Public